All right, so let's dive into the story. It might just rewire how you think about, well, everything online.
Sounds exciting.
Imagine a world without the internet.
Why?
Like, seriously.
Okay.
Poof. Gone.
Yeah.
No frantic Google searches 5 minutes before a meeting.
Oh, the horror.
No endless scrolling, no cat videos.
It's almost unimaginable now, isn't it?
It's 1969, and the world's on the brink of, well, kind of a revolution. But it all starts with 2 letters.
2 letters.
Hello.
Low. That's interesting. Doesn't sound very revolutionary.
Well, that's what we're going to explore today.
I'm intrigued. So where do we begin? What's the story behind this low?
Well, to understand that, we need to rewind a bit.
Okay.
Go back to the Cold War.
The Cold War. So the internet wasn't some Silicon Valley invention.
Nope. It was more of a product of, well, geopolitical tension. The U.S. and the Soviet Union, locked in this technological arms race.
So the internet has its roots in conflict, not collaboration.
In a way, yeah. The Department of Defense, they had this big problem. They needed a communication system, one that could survive, a nuclear attack.
That makes sense in that context.
Yeah.
But how do you even begin to design something like that?
That was the challenge. They couldn't rely on this traditional centralized system where everything flows through one point.
Right, because if that point's destroyed, the whole system collapses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they needed something different, something decentralized, something more like a web.
A web.
Yeah, like a spider web.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
You can cut a few threads, but the whole thing stays intact.
Brilliant. That's the essence of ARPANET, right? The precursor to the internet.
Exactly.
That distributed design, that's what makes it so resilient. No single point of failure. And it's a principle that still echoes throughout the internet even today.
Absolutely. So we've got this concept of a decentralized network. But who are the minds behind it?
Well, like with most big innovations, it wasn't a single eureka moment. It was a lot of brilliant minds working together, building on each other's ideas.
Teamwork.
Exactly. So you have, for example, JCR Licklider,
Licklider, huh?
a computer scientist way back in the early 60s. He dreamed of something called an intergalactic computer network.
Wow. Intergalactic. That's thinking big.
He was a visionary. His ideas planted the seeds for what would eventually become the internet.
So he's like the founding father, even if he didn't actually build the thing.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Then you have Leonard Kleinrock,
Okay.
a professor at UCLA. He figured out how to actually send data over this decentralized network.
So he's the one who made it work.
He was a key player, for sure. His breakthrough was something called packet switching.
Packet switching, what's that?
It's pretty ingenious, actually.
Okay.
Instead of sending data in one big chunk, he figured out a way to break it up into smaller pieces, these packets. They could travel independently across the network.
Oh, interesting.
And then magically reassemble at their destination.
So like sending a puzzle through the mail, each piece takes a different route, but they still all fit together in the end.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
And this wasn't just a theoretical exercise.
Right.
This innovation was absolutely fundamental to the speed and efficiency we associate with the internet today. Think about the sheer volume of data zipping around the world every second.
That's mind-boggling.
Without packet switching, the internet as we know it just wouldn't be possible.
So we've got the vision, we've got the groundbreaking technology, but those early computers, they weren't exactly pocket-sized, right?
Oh, absolutely not. We're talking refrigerator-sized machines here.
Yeah.
The IMPs, or interface message processors. Think of them as the forerunners to the routers we use today.
Okay.
They were the traffic controllers of ARPANET, making sure all those data packets reach their intended destinations.
So not something you could just tuck away in your home office.
Definitely not. Each IMP represented a node in the network, connected by dedicated phone lines. It was a physical manifestation of this revolutionary idea, bringing together universities and research institutions across the country.
It's pretty incredible to think about those early days, all those brilliant minds working together to build this network, this thing that would eventually change the world.
It was a pivotal moment in history. And all of that work, all that innovation, it led to that first message being sent over ARPANET, October 29th, 1969.
A date that should be celebrated, right?
Absolutely. 2 computers hundreds of miles apart, one at UCLA, the other at Stanford Research Institute, linked together by this brand new network.
So what was the message? Some profound quote, a philosophical musing.
Not quite. The plan was to send the word log in.
Logged in. Okay, simple, functional.
Charlie Klein, a grad student at UCLA, he was at the controls, ready to send that first message into this uncharted digital frontier. He starts typing L, O, and then
And then, don't leave me hanging.
the system crashed.
You're kidding, all that build-up, and the first message is just low.
It might sound anticlimactic, but even those two letters were a monumental achievement.
Really?
Think about it. It was the first data ever successfully transmitted over what would eventually become the internet. That low, as incomplete as it was, became a symbol of this incredible leap forward.
It's like a digital hello world beamed out into the void, waiting for the rest of the internet to catch up.
Precisely. And of course, they eventually fixed the system and sent that complete log-in message. But it's that initial low that captured the imagination, the unexpected beginning of a digital revolution.
Low. Who knew those two little letters held so much history?
It's a reminder that even the most groundbreaking journeys often start with a single, sometimes even a slightly flawed step.
Okay, so we've got this groundbreaking network, ARPANET, sending its first message out into the world. But what was it actually used for back then? I mean, was it all Cold War strategy and a top-secret research?
Well, that decentralized design, it definitely made ARPANET valuable during the Cold War.
Right, that was the whole point.
To create a communication system that could withstand, well, a nuclear attack.
Right, right.
But to say that was its only purpose.
Yeah.
It's a bit like saying a smartphone is just for making phone calls.
So it was more like a Swiss Army knife of technology, useful in a crisis, but with a whole lot of other potential applications.
Exactly. And one of the most impactful, even in those early days, was email.
Email. Seems so basic now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But back then, it was revolutionary. And we can thank a guy named Ray Tomlinson for that. He sent the first networked email in 1971.
Wow,
And
1971.
he's also the one who gave us that ubiquitous @ symbol.
Can you imagine online communication without it?
It's like trying to picture a sentence without a period.
It's just there,
Yeah.
part of the fabric of the internet.
Exactly. But email was really just the tip of the iceberg. ARPANET was about so much more than just sending messages back and forth.
So what else was it used for?
Well, one of the big things was connecting researchers and fostering collaboration,
Okay.
like on a whole new level.
Ah, I see.
It allowed scientists and academics to share their work,
Yeah.
access data, collaborate on projects, regardless of their physical location. It was like this giant interconnected digital library,
Right.
breaking down the barriers of distance and revolutionizing the pace of scientific progress.
All of that on a network designed to withstand a nuclear war. Talk about exceeding expectations.
It just goes to show you, sometimes the most groundbreaking advancements, they come from solving a very specific problem.
Mm.
And then they sort of ripple outwards, transforming industries and even societies in ways that nobody could have predicted.
So how did this network, this ARPANET, built for a select group of researchers and government agencies, how did it evolve into this global phenomenon we know as the internet?
Well, it wasn't exactly a seamless transition. There were growing pains along the way.
Mm-hmm.
As more and more computers joined the network, the original communication protocol, NTP, it started to show its limitations.
Limitations.
Yeah. It was kind of like trying to squeeze an ever-growing city's traffic onto a small-town road system. It just wasn't built for that kind of scale.
So they needed an upgrade, a new set of rules that could handle the internet's exponential growth.
Precisely. And that's where TCP/IP comes in,
TCP/IP.
developed by Vinton Cerf and Robert Kahn. This new protocol was designed to be way more flexible
Okay.
and scalable. Think of it as creating a multi-lane highway system capable of handling a massive flow of traffic
Right, right.
in a way that NCP just couldn't manage.
Makes sense. It's amazing how these, seemingly technical details, protocols and data packets had such profound impact on the way we communicate, the way we live our lives.
It's the invisible infrastructure that underpins so much of our modern world. And that transition from ARPANET to the internet, it also marked a shift from a, government-funded project to a more commercially driven ecosystem.
Oh, right. And that probably brought its own set of challenges.
Oh, absolutely. Suddenly you have all these questions about ownership, intellectual property,
Yeah.
the potential for profit. Who owns the internet? It's such a sprawling, decentralized entity,
It's
right?
a tough question.
It raises all sorts of ethical and philosophical questions about how the benefits of this technology should be distributed, who gets to control it,
Right, right.
and how we ensure it remains accessible and open, questions we're still grappling with today.
It's like we've created this amazing tool, but we're still figuring out how to use it responsibly. We've talked about some of the key players, but there had to be a lot of unsung heroes, right?
Oh, absolutely. The development of ARPANET and the Internet, it was a truly collaborative effort.
Yeah,
Countless engineers, programmers, researchers, even those grad students like Charlie Klein,
right.
they all played a role in bringing this technology to life.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that innovation often comes from unexpected places.
You don't need a fancy title to make a difference.
Exactly. Sometimes all it takes is a spark of curiosity
Mm.
and a willingness to, dive in and experiment.
It's inspiring to think that even a grad student like Charlie Klein could play such a pivotal role. It really underscores that idea that innovation can come from anywhere.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a good reminder that sometimes those breakthroughs, those aha moments, they come from the most unexpected places.
Speaking of unexpected, I've always had this image of ARPANET as this, serious utilitarian network, all about Cold War strategy and, groundbreaking research.
Right, right.
But was there a lighter side to it as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to remember, these were people pushing the boundaries of technology,
Yeah.
exploring uncharted territory.
Right.
And that kind of a sense of discovery, it often goes hand in hand with, well, a playful, experimental spirit.
Okay, so you're telling me these brilliant minds weren't just, hunched over their computers all day crunching numbers.
Of course not. They had to have some fun.
So what did they do? I mean, besides, sending emails and collaborating on research, what else was happening on this network?
Well, one of the first things they did was figure out a way to send messages between computers on the network.
Okay.
Think of it as kind of a digital bulletin board
Ah, okay.
where people could leave messages for each other. It was like an early precursor to, online forums and social media.
Wow. So even back then, they were using this technology to build community, foster conversation. That's pretty amazing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't just text either. They were also experimenting with sending images and even music over the network.
Really? Music? I mean, this is what, the early 70s? Long before, Spotify and Apple Music and all that.
Exactly.
It blows my mind to think they were already exploring those possibilities back then.
They were laying the groundwork for, the digital entertainment world that we live in today. Always pushing the boundaries, opening up new avenues for creativity and expression.
It's like they were, they were almost composing the first few notes of a symphony that's still being written today.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thanks. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the origins of the internet, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it's important to remember that the internet wasn't inevitable.
Right.
It wasn't some preordained outcome. It was the result of a lot of hard work, ingenuity, collaboration, and even a bit of luck.
And it's still evolving, right?
Oh, absolutely. Changing, adapting to our needs, our desires. It's a testament to human creativity and, our constant drive to connect, to communicate, to explore.
And who knows what the future holds? What amazing new low moments are just around the corner waiting to transform the internet yet again.
That's the exciting part, isn't it? The internet is what we make it. So let's make it something incredible.